The first thing that hit him wasn't the smell of food, it was the silence. No blasting music, no massive TV screens yelling about discounts, no employee shouting about rollback prices. Just calm, almost suspiciously calm. This was supposed to be a supermarket, a place Americans associate with chaos, oversized carts and aisles that feel like football fields. But standing at the automatic doors of a British supermarket for the very first time, he froze, because something already felt off. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. Back home in the US, walking into a grocery store feels like entering a warehouse. Everything is big, the lights are harsh, the shelves are towering. But here, the entrance felt compact, organized, almost cozy. And that was shock number one, because he hadn't even picked up a basket yet. He grabbed a shopping basket, then paused. No wheels, just a handheld basket. He looked around for the carts. They were there, but smaller, narrower, like they were politely asking you not to overdo it. And that's when the first thought hit him. Am I not supposed to buy a lot here? As he stepped inside, his brain immediately went into comparison mode. Okay, where's the produce section? Because in American supermarkets, produce usually hits you first. Giant pyramids of apples, misted vegetables, strawberries stacked like luxury items. But here, the layout was different. The aisles felt tighter. The shelves felt intentional. And everything felt closer. Then he noticed something that genuinely confused him. The prices. Or rather, the lack of confusion around prices. Every label showed one number, one final price. No tiny asterisk, no mental math. The price you saw was the price you paid. That alone felt unreal. He picked up a sandwich from a chilled shelf near the entrance. A full sandwich, with crisps, and a drink. The label said, meal deal. He assumed it was some kind of marketing trick. Then he read the price again. He laughed out loud. There was no way this was real. Back home, that combo would cost double, maybe triple, and it would still feel disappointing. But here, people were casually grabbing them like it was normal. And that's when it started to sink in. British people weren't shopping like this was an event. They weren't loading carts for a week. They were shopping like this was life. Regular, everyday life. He walked down the cereal aisle expecting familiar brands to comfort him. Instead, he felt like he'd entered an alternate universe. Yes, some brands were recognizable, but the boxes were smaller. The sugar levels were lower, and the variety felt different. Less cartoon mascots screaming at kids. More, this will quietly fuel your morning. Then came the chocolate aisle. This was the moment that genuinely broke him. Because British chocolate didn't just exist as a section, it dominated. Rows and rows of chocolate bars he'd heard people online argue about. Cadbury, Galaxy, flavors he'd never seen back home. And they weren't locked behind premium pricing either. They were just affordable. He picked one up and immediately noticed another thing Americans rarely think about. Ingredients. Shorter lists, fewer unpronounceable words. And suddenly, all those online debates about UK food versus US food didn't feel exaggerated anymore. Then, he reached the bread aisle, or what he thought was the bread aisle, because there was bread, but also fresh-baked bread. In-store bakeries, crusty loaves, baguettes still warm. Back home, fresh bread usually feels like a luxury. Here, it felt standard. He turned a corner and nearly collided with the self-checkout area. Massive, efficient, quiet, no employee hovering awkwardly, no machine yelling at him for placing an item incorrectly. People scanned, paid, packed, and left with a level of discipline that honestly impressed him. And speaking of packing, bags, or rather the lack of free bags, he watched someone pull a reusable bag from their backpack like it was second nature. Another person paid for a bag without complaint. And suddenly, he remembered all the times back home when plastic bags were handed out like nothing. Then something small happened that felt big. A queue formed. A proper queue. No cutting. No crowding. Everyone just waited, patiently, politely, and that's when he realized this wasn't just about food. This was culture. He picked up a ready meal next. A full dinner in a tray. He expected low quality. Microwave sadness. Instead, the packaging promised flavor, balance, and ingredients that sounded like something you'd actually cook at home. And the price? Again, shockingly reasonable. At this point, he stopped rushing. He started observing. British supermarkets weren't trying to overwhelm you. They weren't designed to trap you for an hour. They felt designed to respect your time. Grab what you need, Eat well, go home. When he finally approached the checkout, there was no moment of dread, no surprise total, no added tax. The number on the screen matched the shelf. Exactly, that alone felt like a small miracle. Walking out, bags in hand, he paused. Because he didn't just feel surprised. He felt recalibrated, like his expectations had quietly shifted without asking permission. This wasn't about one supermarket. It was about realizing that everyday life can be structured differently. That normal doesn't look the same everywhere. That convenience doesn't always mean excess. And as he stepped back into the street, one thought stayed with him longer than any price shock or chocolate aisle revelation. If grocery shopping feels this different, what else is about to surprise me? Because this was only the beginning. In part 2, things get even more unexpected. Eating out, pub culture, portion sizes, why water isn't automatically free everywhere, why people don't rush meals, and the moment that made him realize living abroad doesn't just change where you shop, it changes how you think. So if you've ever been shocked by grocery shopping in another country, or if you're American and thinking about visiting or moving to the UK, drop a comment. What do you think would shock you the most? And trust me, this story is far from over. And just when he thought the supermarket shock was the peak, it wasn't. Not even close, because the real surprise didn't come from the shelves or the prices. It came later that evening, when hunger hit again and he decided to do something completely normal. Eat out. Back home, eating out often means fast food, oversized portions, and servers who introduce themselves like they're auditioning for a role. But in the UK, the first thing that confused him was how casual everything felt. No rush, no pressure, no one asking if he was ready to order every 2 minutes. He walked into a pub thinking it was just a bar. Then he realized people were eating full meals, families, couples, even older folks quietly enjoying dinner. No loud music, no TVs blasting sports on every wall, just conversation. He sat down and waited for a server. And waited, and waited. That's when it clicked. You order at the bar. That small moment of confusion was bigger than it seemed, because it wasn't just about ordering food, it was about independence. Nobody was hovering, nobody was selling. You were trusted to handle it yourself. He ordered a meal and, out of habit, asked for water. The bartender paused. Still or sparkling? That question alone threw him off. Back home, water just appears. Free. Unlimited. Here, water was a choice. And sometimes, a paid one. When the food arrived, the portion size made him blink. It wasn't small. It was reasonable. Balanced. Enough to finish without feeling like you'd failed a challenge. And that's when something else hit him. He wasn't rushing. Nobody around him was rushing. People were talking, sitting, enjoying the moment. Meals weren't treated like pit stops between responsibilities. They were part of the day. Later, he walked through the streets, noticing something subtle but powerful. People weren't carrying drinks everywhere. No giant sodas, no cups the size of a toddler's head. Just moderation. The next morning, he stopped by a cafe for breakfast. He ordered coffee, expecting something massive and sugary. What he got was smaller, stronger, and honestly better. No list of syrups longer than the menu, no pressure to customize, just coffee. Then came public transport. He tapped a card and walked on. No ticket machine stress, no explaining destinations. It just worked. People queued again, quietly, naturally. No pushing, no drama. And suddenly, all those supermarket moments made sense. British life wasn't built around excess. It wasn't about maximizing everything. It was about efficiency, balance, and trust that people would just behave. Later that day, he popped back into a different supermarket. Aldi this time. Then Lidl. Same pattern. Different brands. Same calm. Same logic. Same feeling that food wasn't being sold as entertainment. It was being sold as nourishment. He realized something important then. In America, convenience often means more, bigger, faster, louder. In the UK, convenience meant enough food, enough choice, enough time. And that realization hit harder than any price tag or culture shock moment. Because once you notice it, you can't unsee it. He started questioning habits he never thought about. Why buy so much at once? Why does shopping feel stressful back home when it doesn't have to? By the end of the week, the supermarket didn't feel shocking anymore. It felt normal, and that was the most shocking part of all.